I'm Gene Grant. Thanks for joining us. I'm here with the Line Opinion panelists. This week, Albuquerque Police Chief Gordon Eden spoke with KOB-TV and criticized a Supreme Court ruling that evidence in felony cases must be turned over to the DA within 10 days. He blamed recent violence in Albuquerque in part on that new requirement that went into effect in February of this year. And Antoinette, you know, this requirement, let's put a little background here. You know, this was done by legislative decree last year. Some good folks sat down and they ostensibly were trying to solve a major problem here, which is people both guilty and innocent sitting in our jails and not getting a fair hearing within a reasonable amount of time.
Stories of a year.
Yeah, exactly. Is it, you know, how, when you first heard this, when the Chief Eden was blaming, APD was involved with part of this decision making, as a matter of fact.
Well, they were supposed to be, and they were on the committees that went through it, and then they had transitions. There was not continuity, and it's very clear that they didn't really pay attention to this and didn't participate in the way they should have.
That's right.
And that's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because it really required their presence at the table to solve the problem.
Right. Staying with you for a second on that, again, the fixing of the problem is not the problem, so to speak. Right. Is he picking on the wrong thing and the wrong people? Because the Supreme Court is just doing what ostensibly we all wanted them to do.
Exactly.
Through our legislative process.
And true leaders take responsibility. And so pointing the finger at the major entities that were trying to solve the problem, it just really shows a lack of leadership to me.
Right. Tom, the finger pointing, your take, I'm curious your take on this, because there's lots of blame to go along when systems break down. Is it just the Supreme Court's fault? I mean, they're easy. They can't fire back. They can't do anything.
Yeah, and I think Dan Vukulich really kind of detailed through the Albuquerque Free Press, some of the dialogue between the Supreme Court and APD and some of their representatives. But it's a convenient thing to do to play the blame game. We saw the chief play the blame game against the Supreme Court. We had Mayor Berry blame the legislature blamed Mayor Berry, and so it's just this big standoff of everybody really saying, well, you're to blame, no, you're to blame. Well, it really comes down, I wouldn't say that leadership is taking responsibility. I would say leadership is providing a way out, and how are we going to get everybody to move from point A to point B? Right. And right now, I'm not seeing that either at the local level or at the state level.
Right, exactly. Rob, your take on this again. I want to remind again, APD was part of the process to fix another problem. They were heavily involved with it. They should have been involved with it, and they were. And then something just broke down. Under Gordon Eden's watch, something broke down.
I guess that meeting, from what I gather from the Dan Vukulich article, that happened during the transition when Eden first came over. But Tom's right. I mean, it's easy to point blame and point fingers. The questions I have, and I think the questions the average person in Albuquerque has, because we have had this rise. I don't know if it's been an overall rise in crime, but we do have much more celebrated, much more disturbing cases of violence. The questions I have is, among them, the Supreme Court, when the New Mexico Supreme Court decided, okay, you've got to turn these cases around within 10 days. The question I have is the 10 days an arbitrary number, or is that a state across different states? Because, as speaking of other reporters, Mike Gallagher from the Journal pointed out that during that 10-day period where you have to file the case and it has to go to the district attorney's office, go back to the police department, go in front of the court, is during that time period, a lot of stuff is, a lot of those quote turnstile thugs are getting out on bond, and it's hard to get them back. That's right. So I think that's a big question here, and I think that the average person in Albuquerque is looking at this and saying, well, we've had violent criminals, some of them killing officers, police officers, and we've had some judges saying, well, I didn't have the information in front of me, so, well, let's get the information in front of you, regardless of how we're going to do it. Let's get that done. One last thing, I find it, many times in New Mexico politics, you have very interesting coalitions. I think in regards to this blame game, it's interesting that this is the first time Gordon Eden and Kerry Brandenburg have been on the same page, and they both agree. They're both blaming the Supreme Court on this.
Well, and the court's rethinking it and looking at tweaking it and changing it.
In the legislative session. So everyone's got to work together on it.
And in the interim, Rachel, what Rob points out, I like your list there, because what Rob points out, again, I say this all the time here, it has to be a holistic approach. If any one piece is not working, the rest can't function properly.
Right.
And so I don't hear people stepping to the front, either DA's office, APD, or anybody else saying, here's what we're going to do on our end of it.
I could not agree more. There's no one reason why there's been a spate of violence in Albuquerque.
Right.
There are a lot of reasons. The 10-day rule may have a lot to do with it, and it probably needs to be looked at really closely. But I think there is a hunger to just have someone step up and say, we're going to do these things, not just say, it's because of this problem that we didn't cause.
Right. I'm curious what you're hearing, Rachel Sams, at your position at Albuquerque Business First. When you hear from people in this blame game idea, does it tend to be leaning towards it's somebody else's, the legislator's fault, Supreme Court's fault? What are you hearing from your business type folks? Because they have a stake in this to get this solved.
Oh, absolutely. I'm hearing a lot of frustration from the business community, just that they don't see anyone stepping up and saying, this is, these are some of the things that are wrong, and here's how we're going to try and fix it.
Right.
They are very frustrated with the blame. They want to see some action taken because it affects everything that happens in Albuquerque.
Right, exactly. Tom, it's like a runaway train now, this turnstile felon thing. If somebody was doing this as a political, sort of an AstroTurf campaign, it would be wildly successful. Because everyone seems to think this is actually the problem now, this idea.
Yeah, the boomerang, the 10-day rule, has definitely been branded as being the issue. And, isn't the issue just really crime? How do we reduce crime? And as Rachel indicated, there are a lot of other factors that play into it. It's the economy, it's the jobs, it's city services, it's behavioral health services that we've talked about here many times, and the access to those. So you have all these different items coming together. The question is, what's going to happen in January when the 30-day session just dealing with finances gets underway?
Let me stop you there and ask you that question. Wouldn't the legislature say, look, you all came to us last year and we helped solve the problem. Why are you coming back to us now? Well, this is not our problem.
Well, there was a tremendous amount of frustration at the legislature with the comments from the city of Albuquerque with respect to the criticism after they had walked away from the negotiations that had been approved by Albuquerque legislators. So, I think that there's a bit of a mea culpa that needs to be able to take place. But more importantly, I think coming to the table and saying, not that this isn't working, but here's an idea on how to fix it.
Exactly right. And in your bailiwick, Antoinette Cedillo-Lopez, of course, shoring up families and how families function here. It's all part of it, isn't it?
Well, that's, we talk about a coordinated community response to these problems, and so that's why I say take responsibility, because when you're trying to create a coordinated community response, every person, every entity, every stakeholder needs to be a part of it. And so when you have pointing fingers, it's really undermining a coordinated community response.
Is there any personality in your view who could really get everyone involved to sit up and fly right on this and get moving in the same direction? Is there one person?
Well, I am very impressed with Charlie Daniels, and I think he's done a lot. And I think with Justice Daniels, he really, especially because the court has taken responsibility and said, well, let's reconsider this, let's look at this. I think there's a lot of leadership there.
Interesting. Let me touch on, again, those Albuquerque representatives and how things are going there. They could be a hidden little voice here as this goes in the next session. You know what I'm saying? There's something.
Yeah, it sounds like what we need here is coordination. And so many times in politics, local politics, state politics, national politics, getting coordination is like herding cats.
That's right. That's right. If it was that easy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sometimes herding cats looks easy compared to this.
Exactly. But, on a serious note on that, it seems to me leadership, especially on the House side, I'm curious, where you have a Republican mayor, a Republican control of the House, Republican leadership, the will to revisit this again. It seems interesting to me, your sense of that. Well, do you want to start the process over again, maybe I should ask, in a short 30-day session?
Well, I think with the average person in Albuquerque says, let's get it done. Because this is the violence, the celebrated, and that's probably not the right word, these high profile violent crimes have really stained the reputation of Albuquerque. And it's something that everyone, especially the people in Albuquerque, the families in Albuquerque, the businesses in Albuquerque, they need to straighten out, because if it's not straightened out, it's going to make a really tough situation even worse.
Very much so. Up next, Attorney General Hector Balderas joins us to talk about violent crime here in New Mexico.